Imagine a world where sound is swallowed by the silence of the cold. At Yakutsk, in January 2026, we do not hear the wind, only the dry sound of footsteps crushing snow crystals as hard as stone under the soles of shoes. At the threshold of -71 degrees Celsius, air is no longer an invisible gas. It becomes a sharp entity, attacking every pore, every lung cavity. When you step out the door, the first thing you feel is not the cold, but a thermal shock that causes the bronchi to contract. Your eyelashes freeze after only 3 blinks. Moisture from the breath crystallizes immediately on the scarf, creating a stiff mask of ice. This is the place where the theory of global warming seems to be challenged by an extreme paradox of geography. Yakutsk is not just a city on a map. It is a test of the endurance of proteins and the chemical bonds that make up the human body. In 2026, meteorological stations in Siberia had to update their forecasting software. The old numbers were no longer enough to describe this reality. -71 degrees. At this temperature, all concepts of comfort are erased. Metal becomes brittle and breaks like thin glass. Hard plastic cracks under the pressure of thermal expansion. If you drop a plastic cup onto the frozen ground, it shatters into thousands of shards, as if you had just thrown a crystal ball. People call this the whisper of the stars, the sound of frozen breath as it falls to the ground. A deadly beauty that only those brave enough dare to witness. Why did humans build a city of 300,000 people on a giant block of ice? Yakutsk is located on a layer of eternal frost, permafrost. The entire civilization here is suspended on concrete stilts. If a house were built directly on the ground, the warmth from the house itself would melt the ice layer below, turning the ground into mud and swallowing that structure in just a few years. In 2026, this challenge became even greater as the permafrost layer began to have unusual fluctuations due to climate change in the deep layers. Engineers have to work day and night to monitor the stability of the stilts. You can see the gas pipelines, water pipes, and cables are never buried underground. They run across the ground like exposed blood vessels, wrapped in thick layers of insulation. A small incident, a broken pipe, means an entire neighborhood will be permanently frozen within a few hours. Look at these pipes. They are the umbilical cord of the city. In the cold of -71 degrees, thermal energy is more important than gold. The central heating system operates at full capacity 24 hours a day, burning tons of natural gas to sustain life. If the heart of the thermal power plant stops beating, Yakutsk will become an ice tomb in just one night. This is a restless war between human technology and the absolute power of Siberian nature. In Yakutsk, your car is not just a means of transportation. It is a living entity that needs special care. From October to May, most engines here never turn off. If you turn off the engine for too long without an auxiliary heating system, the engine oil will thicken like honey, the rubber gaskets will harden and crack, and the car will become a useless block of iron until the summer. The cost to maintain a car here can be 3 times higher than in Moscow. People must install additional double-pane glass windows for cars to prevent heat from escaping. Truck drivers on the Road of Bones, Kolyma Highway, always have to travel in convoys. A breakdown in the middle of a deserted highway, where there is no phone signal, means a death sentence by freezing within 30 minutes. In 2026, electric vehicle lines began to penetrate the global market, but in Yakutsk, they remain a distant dream. Battery performance drops to nearly zero in the -70-degree cold. Here, the internal combustion engine is still the absolute king, and gasoline is the currency of survival. Every driver is a skilled mechanic. They know that their lives depend on every explosion of the piston and the durability of the fan belt. Welcome to the world's largest natural refrigerator. At the Yakutsk Central Market, sellers stand outdoors all day long. They wear fur coats so thick that they look twice as large as normal. No need for freezers, no need for elaborate preservation. Nature has done it for them. Fish caught under the thick ice of the Lena River freeze instantly upon contact with the air. People here have a unique diet to combat the cold. Stroganina, thinly shaved fish or horse meat, eaten raw while still frozen along with salt and pepper. Fat is truly a type of biofuel. Your body needs thousands of calories every day just to maintain basic body temperature. In the -71-degree cold, diets become ridiculous. Fat is health, fat is warmth. Observe the saleswomen here. They stand still for hours on the frozen ground. The secret lies in the unti boots made from reindeer leg skin. These are the warmest shoes in the world, handcrafted with techniques passed down through many generations. Even in 2026, with the appearance of high-tech insulation materials from NASA, reindeer skin remains the #1 choice of the indigenous people. There are things that modern technology cannot replace regarding ancestral wisdom. Living in such a harsh environment changes the way people think. The people of Yakutsk have a strange calmness. They do not hurry, because hurrying leads to sweating, and sweat in the -70-degree cold is extremely dangerous. It will freeze immediately on your skin. Isolation creates community. Here, no one leaves a stranger standing in a blizzard. Helping each other start a car or sharing a hot cup of tea is an unwritten law. In 2026, when the outside world seems increasingly divided, in this coldest place on the planet, the warmth of human kindness becomes clearer than ever. They do not complain about the weather. To them, winter is not an obstacle. It is a teacher of patience and gratitude for the simplest things: a warm room, a full meal, and a painless breath. The night in Yakutsk stretches on endlessly. The sun only appears for a few hours, then hurriedly sinks down. But the darkness does not frighten them. They find beauty in the aurora bands dancing across the Siberian sky and in the absolute silence of the taiga forests surrounding the city. A harsh beauty, not meant for the faint of heart. Yakutsk 2026 is a reminder to all of us about human limits and the power of adaptation. As you are listening to these words, somewhere in the Saka region, a father is still preparing his car for a long trip. A mother is still knitting thick wool sweaters for her children, and the city is still operating rhythmically in the heart of the pole of cold. We often wonder, why did they choose this place? Perhaps the answer lies not in choice, but in instinct. Humans can bloom in the harshest places, as long as they have each other. Yakutsk is not just a story about survival at -71 degrees Celsius. It is a story about the eternal fire within each of us, the light that can never be frozen by any winter. Farewell, Yakutsk, where breath turns to ice, but hearts are always warm. One day, when you feel your world is too difficult, remember this city, where life still goes on, resilient and brilliant beneath the coldest Siberian sky.